of entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators. Today we have a special guest.
It's Jimmy Mallia.
Welcome back. I'm so happy to have you back on the show, my friend.
Me too. So glad to hear that I was going to do this interview. It's been a while.
It's been a minute. Well, for those new listeners that don't know about you or know, I know about you, but for those new listeners out there that, want to know a little bit more about you, tell us a bit about your childhood. What was that like? And when did the love for music begin?
I always say I think I have a pretty unique childhood. I grew up in a very special place, Galveston Island in Texas, which is odd because it's an island in Texas. And it's a peninsula island off the south of Texas. And so it was like just its own little world, separated from everything else, so safe and a small community of people where, my grandparents grew up with my friends' grandparents. My parents grew up with my parents' friends. It was just very unique. I didn't realize that till I got much older, how unique an experience it was. Tight-knit community, small, and I just had a wonderful childhood, just in roaming the island. And I guess I started to take to music probably in seventh grade. I learned to play guitar, and I was actually taught by a nun, which is such a great story. Not many people can say that, right? And so it was. So I started playing way back then, and played in school masses, that kind of stuff. Went on to do some musical stuff. So, and then all that kind of got put on the shelf when I went off to college to the University of Texas. So this was a while back. I am 61 now. And so fast forward many decades, and I had picked back up the guitar, started taking lessons again and playing with a guy here in town, a local musician. And then that slowly evolved into, for the first time, writing songs. And so I just started writing songs, and I could write pretty much in 4/4 and whatever, and so I was fairly good at that. And my partner would help me put it down the chords, and that became our process. And I would do the lyrics, the melody, and then we'd put down the chords, and out would come a song. And that went on for probably 16 years of just that, just the fun of that. And then late in life, like I said, I'm 61. About a year or so ago, I decided, I wonder what it's like to put music out there. I mean, I have no clue what that is. I mean, so I started researching it and, looking into how to get on Spotify, how to get on YouTube and Amazon Music and Apple Music, and how do people do that? Can anybody just do that? And so investigated it, figured out the whole distribution process, and then had to learn the recording process, and tried a couple of studios. And it's such a cool process to have something go from what you hear in your head, to then actually developing the song itself and playing it, and then to actually build in other instruments and see it come to life in a recording is just a phenomenal process and experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And I would say you like natural at it, because a lot of people, you have a wonderful voice. I mean, like,
Oh, thank you.
it's exceptional. You've had a long career in business. How has the perspective, that's perspective shape your approach to music now?
Well, it was at the beginning, it was like an outlet, right? Because everything was the other side of the brain, right? Side of the business, that I
Yeah.
did for, oh my gosh, almost 40 years. And working. And then when I started doing the music, it was truly just almost like a second religion. It was like just something to work. The other side of the brain, just an incredible release. It was just so much fun. So when I made the decision, like, what the heck, this late in life, what's it going to hurt? Let me see what it's like to put music out there. Well, I had to rely on the business side of my brain to figure out research. How do you find a distributor? How do you find a promoter? How do you
Yeah.
do this? So it did come in handy, absolutely, and so
Hmm.
I still use it. Like, what all these, got to investigate, like, okay, people on YouTube, how do they get to, let's say 100,000 subscribers? What is the business side of that, of how do you get attention? Because that is, to me, it'd be great if I was so incredible that every time one person heard it, they said, you got to listen to this guy, and it just took off. Unfortunately, there's so much music out there,
Hmm.
and it's available so easily now. You don't have
Hmm.
to go to the bars or the concert. You can go on your phone and immediately access thousands upon thousands of artists.
Hmm.
So how do you try to get yourself out there and get heard? And that was a pretty cool process.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing amazing work.
Well,
I
thank you
think,
very much.
yeah, I think it's one of the biggest things. I think a lot of people, when they get into this business of, entertainment, I don't think that's something we automatically know.
Right.
And we just quickly, figure it out. We're like, oh, okay. So there's ways. Okay, cool. And we just implement them as we go. What was the inspiration behind dance? How did that song come to be?
Well, I had three daughters, and every night before they would go to bed, I would sing and play guitar for them. It's just part of our nighttime routine. Tuck them in bed, play them a song, rub their backs, and they go to sleep. And my middle daughter, Caitlin, the song that I sang, and I sang, there wasn't much variety here, trust me. I always sang the same song. They each had their favorite. And Caitlin's was The Dance by Garth Brooks. And so I
Nice.
sang that to her every night for years and years and years. And she was getting married. And so I just thought it'd be nice. I want to write her a song. And so it evolved into, the influence of The Dance by Garth Brooks into now that it's time for her to have her own dance, apart from me and separate from me, which is tough as a father, right? Letting your
Mm,
daughter go when they get married is so bittersweet. You're happy for them, but no matter what age they get married at, you're still losing your little girl. And so, obviously the message of the song is, now it's your time. We've had our time. Now it's your time to shine and to dance on your own.
yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. Um, you know, eh, you mentioned the song was written as a gift for your daughter's wedding. Can you, walk us through the moment and what made you decide to turn it into a song? Like, I think it's really beautiful song and I think it's just absolutely, I mean, like to be able to use that is just timeless. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was definitely, an act of love, and
Oh.
it came really easy for me, honestly. The lyrics, the intent, uh, of it all was just really super easy. I did change the melody a little bit. It was a little bit faster, and I slowed it down. And then the recorded version, I actually have Kelly Jones, an incredible artist, sing with me, because I just kept hearing in my head, there's got to be some harmony in this, some softness to it. And she really brought that to life in this particular song. And the ironic part is I didn't get to sing it at our wedding because she's like, "Oh, Daddy, you can't do that. I would fall apart. I'll be a disaster. The rest of the wedding, well, you can't do that to me." So she actually only heard it after it got recorded, and it was so sweet, and obviously, it was very emotional for her. I did have sort of a bittersweet moment. This song has kind of turned a little bit since its first was released. Unfortunately, my other daughter passed away during the release of this song,
So sorry.
tragically. And so I released it. It got released because, you do it a month ahead of time. And I totally forgotten it was being released. And a week after her death, I think the day after her funeral, this song was released. And so people that know me, I think, actually thought it was intended for my daughter who had passed away, because when you listen to the words, it certainly could mean that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of took on a duality to it that is bittersweet. The wedding of one of my daughters and the loss of another, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's really, really tough, and I'm so sorry to hear that.
And
Um, what, you know, how did your, you know, when you originally wrote the song at a faster tempo, but then slowed it down, what prompted that change, and how did it affect the feeling of the track?
um, and it was just a slight tweak, and I changed some inflection in it, and because when I first did it, I would say it was a little bit rushed to do it because it was shortly before her wedding, and then later on when I came back to it, uh, and I played it, I just naturally slowed it down. It had more meaning to
Mm,
me actually
mhm.
after she was married, and so it was such an odd experience. It's one of these great things that if you do anything like this, that becomes spiritual, that it just happens,
Mhm,
the
mhm.
feeling of it, the tempo of it. And so I slowed it down dramatically. And then bringing in the harmony part of it brought in that softer feel to it, and it is definitely something any father can relate to.
Yeah,
Hopefully instantly. Hopefully it touches people in that way.
absolutely. Absolutely, it does. Um, did you ever like, I'm sure you felt, very vulnerable writing this song, and do you feel like artists, who, because I feel like it's so hard to put your real emotions, or like especially when it's something so real, lyrically into a song, and then you put yourself out there. Do you ever feel those, like, do you feel like you feel exposed, or do you feel like that's the what artists should do,
Uh,
is put themselves out there,
oh,
so to
absolutely.
be so vulnerable?
I mean, that's how you make a song relatable is by sort of, being vulnerable and exposing yourself. And I am not typically that vulnerable type of guy. And so when I
Yeah.
first did this, a year and a half or so ago, my first song, it was petrifying, because it's okay for me to have it. Now you put it out there, well, you're open to the criticism, the boy, this guy's horrible, the lyrics, they could attack so many things, the melody, the lyrics, the music, the singing, the voice. And it was petrifying, especially at this
Yeah.
stage of the game. And I really intended to do it kind of on the side, like downside. Like I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. I just did it.
Hmm.
And some friends caught wind of it, and all of a sudden, social media was being posted and shared,
Oh,
and all of a
wow.
sudden it took off. And for a new song to hit like 100,000 Spotify streams was pretty decent,
Yeah.
but it was, and then you get the reviews, and you kind of read them with one eye open, like, okay, is this going to be good? Is this going to be bad? Like they're going to tell me I suck. And luckily, most of them were very, very kind, which was really sweet. But yeah, I think in order to truly um, relate to people, or for people to relate to your music, it has to have vulnerability to it. I mean,
Hmm.
I think it's needed, but it is very tough as the artist to put those, because almost every one of my songs is something about my life, an experience, something. It's not about something. I don't know how to say that. It is truly me. And so to let people have a peek inside of that can be a little daunting.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Um, I think you mentioned too that your life could be a Netflix series. And if it were, what genre would it be?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I often say it's funny you remember that my life could be a Netflix series. And I don't just mean like one season. I'm good for about 10 seasons. I've had a very eventful life, both great things, tragedies, heartbreaks, love. I mean, it's kind of got it all in there. So I don't know what genre that would be, drama, or love, or it could honestly. I think, heck, you could even throw horror in there at times, I guess. Unfortunately, so I think it would be captivating because I think each episode and each season would be different. it would be like, wait, where did this come from? This isn't your typical Hallmark story where, okay, we know how it starts, what the middle is, and what the end is, because every season would be that. Surely that cannot be happening to one person. So,
Exactly. Exactly. That's that's pretty funny though. You said
yeah.
10 seasons.
Oh,
That's a great show.
right. Uh,
Oh
oh
man.
yeah. But you definitely could. I've had so many very just a lot of people's like to look at my life and say, you can't make this up. I'm like, no, you really couldn't.
Oh man, sometimes I feel like my life could be it's definitely a thriller for sure. Thriller
Ah,
drama for sure. There's always something. Like
right.
it never ends. Like, can I just have a be on an island by myself and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. I love asking this question. I think I've asked you before, but I don't know, maybe it's changed. But if the three levels of influence, money, power, respect, if you could
Mhm.
choose only one, which one would you choose and why?
Respect.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
uh, And I guess you could think it'd be an egotistical sort of thing, like I just want to be respected. But I have the tendency to rely too much at times on what other people think of me. But it
Mm,
also puts a bit of responsibility on me. Am I acting and behaving that in a way that people would find respectful and would want to emulate? And if I'm
mm.
not, then I'm doing something wrong.
I feel that. I completely understand that. How do you balance sharing, you know, really painful personal stories and making music that people can enjoy? Like, because you also want it to feel like obviously relatable and obviously real, but I don't know if there's the right formula for it, but I
Yeah.
guess you just kind of wing it and see. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you do, and hopefully what you're feeling and when you're writing it and from the process of doing the lyrics to the melody, and the music part of it, what instruments in it, I know in my head what I want to evoke in a
Right.
feeling. Like what am I trying to get across? And so I guess I would consider success in that when people hear it and they relay back to me what the intent was. Man, when I heard this song, I felt X, whatever that might be, depending on what the song is. And if they say that, I'm like, awesome, nailed it. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
the best compliment, if it's a sad song, especially, is when people cry. Obviously, and it sounds, what a weird goal to have, like to make people cry. But if I have a song that touches somebody, and even like the dance, if a father tears up, I got it across.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, at 59, you're pursuing your dream of releasing music. What advice would you give to others thinking it's too late to chase theirs?
The old adage "it's never too late" is very true, and I did it as much for me as anything else. Like I can now say I did it, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
and no matter what happens, whether whatever comes out of this, because I have no clue, only God does really, of
Hmm.
what will come out of this. But I know I did it. I know I fulfilled a bucket list, dream, whatever you want to call it, and I put it out there. And there was a sense of like release, giving birth, whatever you want to call it. Once it got out there, it's like, huh, okay. Because until then I've just kind of kept it all to myself, and I
Hmm.
can sit in my room alone and play the song and feel the feeling and hopefully like it. But when it gets out there, I've done my part. I've released it. What happens from there is not in my control.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. That's the hope. It's like, I was talking to someone about that, and he's, in the entertainment business, and there's ups and downs, there's ebbs and flows, and sometimes you're not inspired, sometimes you are super inspired, but it's really like, he was like, man, I don't know, I'm not really where I want to be, and I mean, I don't know. Do you feel like it's good to have a goal to reach, or do you feel like it's just good to create and see what happens instead of having expectations because everyone's different. Some people they say, well, you should expect.
Oh, absolutely. And I very much in my life in the past, especially in business, you always measure yourself by some mark, whether it's money or promotion or success
Mm-hmm.
or popularity, for people, whatever that might be. I think we have a tendency to I've accomplished it when this has happened, rather than just having accomplished it. Like
Right.
and so putting out songs, I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've put them out there. Absolutely, I would love for people to to get recording contracts or have an artist, want to record my songs. Yeah, that if I would say would be my goal, no doubt. Um, but it was really cool to hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now, did
Mm-hmm.
my life change the next day? No, not really. It was sort of one of those great, that was awesome. Um, you
Right, because
know,
we don't know what those little milestones feel like. They just could just feel like, oh, but I guess in our head, some subconsciously we do think it's something that's, I don't know, we're supposed to feel something grand.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
it's
think it's the expectation of how we're going to feel once we reach the goal that can be the disappointment.
yeah.
Because oftentimes you reach the goal and you may have euphoria for 24 hours and then it goes away and you're like, huh, okay, that didn't last as long as I thought. And it's so disappointing. It's like setting yourself up for failure. You reach the goal and you don't feel what you thought you were going to feel, or the feeling that high doesn't last as long as you would like it to.
Yes. Yes. It's so funny. I remember having a premiere. I did I mean, it will forever be one of my, I guess, monumental moments of my career. I was there in a documentary called Horror Noir, and it was created by Shutter, and we had the premiere, and it was all these celebrities, Keith David, everyone that you would think of in the horror genre, and these
Hmm.
legends, and it was a very pinch me moment, and I'm like, wow, I'm part of the cast, and it was really really cool. And then literally the next day, it's like no one who's not there is going to say congratulations or understand that feeling, right? And it just goes away, and then you're just back to normal. It's like it's a split second. It literally is. But I try to live in the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, and I equate it to like a drug or something else. It's like it feels great in that moment, but sometimes the letdown is so bad after. It's like because it's over, right? And you want to go back to the moment when you were enjoying it. I have a vivid memory way back when my girls were and who I raised were young, and it was Christmas time, and it was one of the few moments that I had a really great moment of self-realization. And so they were unwrapping the gifts, whatever. And I went in the other room and I came back and I stopped and just took it in. The joy on their
Mm,
faces, the giggling, the laughing. And I remember vividly thinking to myself, I don't want to forget this moment, because especially like at
yeah.
Christmas time, you get wrapped up in the got to get this done, got to do this done, and get through the stages of Christmas. And I was really grateful decades later that I can still bring that memory up like that, and
Yeah.
mean as much. And so I wish I did that more with my life. In the moments when you want to cherish something, that you
Hmm.
take a step back, pause, and memorize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that also would make life more, you would look at more like you would be grateful for each, I guess it would make you more grateful for
Hmm.
life if we can, live in the moment and remember, because time is so, it's fleeting. When you think
Very
about it, you're like,
much.
whoa, this is crazy.
I
What's
know.
going on with time?
Mhm. Even greater so as you get older.
Yeah.
It becomes really fleeting. Um, but yeah, so I guess that's why you hear older people appreciate life more,
Yeah.
because in some definitely in some way we're running out of it.
Yeah.
So I do focus on trying to appreciate life more. I do a really kind of fun, odd, interesting, as I write a gratitude list every morning when I wake up, the 10 things I'm grateful for that day or from the day before. And
Yeah.
it keeps you in gratitude, which is a
Love
great
that.
place to be.
Yeah. Thank you for that suggestion. That's actually very good to do. Write it down and yeah,
Hmm.
that's beautiful. What do you want as far as like the next by next year, what's something that you have on your bucket list that you want to accomplish musically?
You know, the one thing I don't do, surprisingly, is I don't play live. And so it's always
Ah,
been interesting. I mean, yes, I've played in front of people, don't get me wrong, but I've never gone into like a venue of strangers and just played, which actually I think would be a little easier than playing in front of people I know. But but yeah, is to play live and feel that feeling. When you do something on the internet, with Spotify, YouTube, whatever it may be, you don't get that immediate feedback, and so the little that I've done live, the little bit, it really is an amazing feeling because for me, in those moments, you can feel the audience, you can see if they're getting it, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you can feed off of that response, or you see that response immediately, as opposed to getting feedback or getting more likes or getting more shares or subscribers or whatever that might be.
yeah. And I think that's the thing too. We can get caught up in that world of the views, and sometimes you think, oh man, if no one's looking at this video more than this other video, it's like, well, is this bad? Or you start getting your head
Right.
about.
Oh, oh yeah, absolutely. It becomes a numbers game,
Yeah.
as opposed to, is it being appreciated, understood, and are people
Yeah.
relating to it?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You know, I was going to ask you because I'm curious because you've been in the music industry now for quite some time, and you've seen some things, I'm sure, whether that's with labels or whatever, and creating projects. Do you feel, from your point of view and being in the industry uh, now for some time, do you feel like we're heading in a more positive direction when it comes to indie artists?
I think the one thing I think that being on the internet, and whether it's YouTube or Spotify, it has opened the doors to indie artists that never would have had an opportunity other than seeing in a bar down the street, right?
Hmm.
So yes, I think it's opened up some tremendous opportunities, for people like me that I didn't really want to go and just play in random bars and do all of that to get my music heard. And it's such a bigger stage,
Yeah.
but with that comes, how long does that impact last?
Mm.
Because I feel like our attention spans now, since we've gotten this, are so short. It's like, wow, that was great. Oh, I'm on to the next one. It's like scrolling through Facebook Reels. It's like,
Yeah.
if we're fulfilled for a second and then it's on to the next one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, our attention spans are just less. So I don't, like, I'm sure you've seen stats where people listen to your song, and you're like, okay, seriously, what did you get out of the first 5 seconds of my song? You know?
Right. Right. Exactly. It's like how, yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to figure out is the algorithm and
Mhm.
all that, because I remember, and it's I guess it just depends on the day, the times, like who's all online at a certain time as well. What's the most traffic you get? I mean, it's so much stuff to really break down. And it's sometimes like it can become overwhelming. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's like the algorithms in this are just ridiculous, like down to the
Yeah.
minute of the day to, so many, I don't know, people, yes, they viewed it for how many minutes, or not even minutes, how many seconds,
Yeah.
and I get bogged
Yeah.
down and I'm like, okay, the average time they've listened to this particular song is like 20 seconds. And I'll go back and play it and I'm like, you got like two lines. I don't know. I'm a failure. They didn't even get to the best part of the song. I'm horrible, or I was horrible for the first 20 seconds, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
right. Yeah, exactly. Like what? Oh
Did I
yeah,
miss
I
a note in the first 20 seconds? Why am I stopping? Um, yeah,
oh
it'll
man.
drive you insane. You know,
It really could.
it makes me want to, and it is kind of sort of one of those dreams. I don't know if I would ever do it, is like I really want to go to a strange town. I know nobody, and do one of those
Mm,
street performances. I just want to go to a corner, open up my guitar case, and start playing, and
yes.
see if anybody wants to walk up and listen. That would be a better
Yes.
barometer.
That would be amazing. I think you should do that. That sounds like a plan. I feel like those videos are very interesting, and it's really cool because no one knows you, but then they're just like you kind of get a gauge of like, oh, okay, what works, what song people really gravitate towards more
Hmm.
or whatnot. I mean, because your repertoire, you have a lot of songs, a lot of amazing songs. So yeah, I think that'd be great.
I know. I've always said that it's kind of funny. It's getting up the nerve to do it. But that's why I say go to a strange town. I know if these people reject me, okay, why do I care? You know?
Exactly.
And if they appreciate it, they're not even there because they know me, you know?
Right. Right. They just appreciate good music. Exactly.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Um, where can people find you on social media to follow everything you have going on and things that are coming down the pipeline?
I do have a website, and it's jimmymalliamusic.com. The toughest part is the spelling of my last name, which is Mallia. Um, but I have all my songs that have been released on there. All of my, you can find my Spotify, you can find my YouTube, you can find all of that on there. There's even some merchandise. For fun, I went and got a brand, and it's a pretty cool brand, I have to say.
Awesome.
Um, and it's but yeah, mostly there. I would say that's the best place to start.
I love it. I love it. One word that um kind of summarizes dance for you.
Hmm.
What word would
Love,
that be?
love.
Love. I love that.
Yeah, I mean it's just pure love for a daughter.
I love that. Everyone go listen to it, share it, and support as much as you can. So thank you so much for coming on again. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, it was so good to talk to you again. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.